All right. It looks like we've got a couple people here. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I hope you can. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. We're still working the kinks out, and I showed up a little bit late to this, so. All right. I'm going to turn the microphone up just a touch. Can you hear me okay? It's always a shit show getting these streams going. One of these days I'll have a polished look and it'll be a lot of fun and you'll all long for those days. But there's something nice about the rawness of a just shit show that somebody's trying to throw together. And sometimes that's what I'm doing. Well, so I hope everybody has had a good Father's Day. Good. Thank you, Trevor. I want some confirmation on that. I'm glad everybody is here. I hope you all had a good Father's Day. I'm not going to get into the meat and potatoes of the review until a couple more people join us, but I'm glad to have you here. I had initially planned on Father's Day review being me and my dad reviewing some Islay scotches. He's just starting to get into his whiskey journey, and he found he really liked the smokiness of an Islay scotch. And so I thought that would be a great thing to, do a review on, not just because I'm reviewing the scotches, but also because it's an opportunity for you all to see where in the process somebody who's relatively new to whiskey is and how they can advance further on their journey. And I think that's something that's really great to do. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join today. He's feeling a little under the weather, but not to worry. I've got a backup plan, and I'm excited to give it a go here. So we'll give it a few more minutes to give a couple people a chance to join. But in the meantime, let me know how you guys are doing. How did you celebrate Father's Day? Did you reach out to your dad? Are you a parent and had your kids celebrate with you, or are you just enjoying a day where everybody else is kind of off doing their own things and you can sit around and watch TV or play video games or something? I'm really curious to know how you guys spent your day. Let's see here. I got a whole bunch of notes, mostly because I have so many things I want to talk with you guys about. This is an exciting time for this channel. It's slowly growing. It's developing. It's becoming something really cool. And I love being a part of this community with you guys. I am constantly amazed by the generosity of everyone in these things. Everyone who brings the I was looking for something, I can't seem to find it. Oh well, that's for another time. I'm always amazed by everyone's generosity with their collections, and people want to help the channel grow. People want to reach out and be supportive. I went to a whiskey lottery over the weekend, and it was a lot of fun. But the thing that really surprised me the most was how many people came up to me and said, "Hey, I've seen you on Facebook, or I saw you on YouTube, and I like what you're doing." That really puts a smile on my face. I'm glad people are watching and people care about the kind of content I'm making. So I'm super thankful for all of you for joining on the stream, donating whiskey, donating on the Patreon, anything you can do to support the channel. It's great. So I'll give you a little bit of background. I'll show you first off, I've got these 4-ounce bottles that are half full of the Iowa Bourbon from Cedar Ridge. I've got some notes here we'll talk about, but I really want to make sure I properly shout out the person who gave me these whiskeys. I know his name is Kyle, but I wanted to get his last name on here, and I'm lost for it. I think it might be Thye, Thye. Sorry, Kyle. I should know your last name off the top of my head, but it's been kind of a crazy day bouncing around. So where is it? See, this is the problem is I can't keep track of anything. I'm really bad about that. All right. I just heard from the other room Kyle Phi is correct. So thank you, Kyle Phi. My memory did not totally fail me, even if my note keeping did. Um, yeah, shout out Kyle. He has been watching the channel. He sent me a couple of different tastings here from the Cedar Ridge distillery. It's a relatively new distillery, by the way. Cedar Ridge has only been even in existence since 2005. Jeff Quint is the guy's name. He is the master distiller and founder of the Cedar Ridge Distillery. And for years and years, for several generations, his family, the Quints, had been farming corn in Iowa, but they had never made any formal distilled product with it. So now they are. They started in 2005. The first release was 2010. That was the first batch of whiskey they released. And over the last 10 years, they've really developed a following. Actually, when I posted that I was going to be doing this review tonight, a lot of people reached out and said, "Oh, their stuff is great. I'm excited you're trying it." That excites me to see people excited, especially about something that's relatively young. I think I called it a new distillery, and somebody gave me some shit for that. Yeah, it's not new. It's 10 years old. Okay. But 10 years old is new in the world of whiskey. Like, think about how old most major distilleries are. I mean, you talk about Heaven Hill, you talk about Four Roses, you talk about all of the Sazerac products. These are, Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, the names people know in the whiskey world are over 100 years old almost exclusively. And it makes sense because it's a hard world to get into. There's a huge upstart cost. Not even to mention licensing, and doing craft distilling is so difficult. There's so much government intervention and so many different ways that it becomes very difficult to. What's up, Josh? There's so many different ways it becomes difficult to continue doing your job without paying for lawyers, paying for equipment, paying for people. It's an extremely intense expense. Barrier to entry is serious in distilling. So 10 years is not a very long time to be doing it in my book. But I'm really excited because I've heard so many good things about Cedar Ridge. So I'm going to go so this will be from my right to left. I think probably your left to right. I'm not really sure exactly how this mirrors. Maybe it's your right to left. I don't really care. It's not that important. What is important, you can't see it. I wanted you to be able to see this, but I think it's more important for you to see my smiling face. Cheers, Josh. I appreciate it, my man. Man, I'm sweating like a preacher in church. Hold on a second. I get too excited up here. Whew. Got all these lights on me. I've got a camera rolling. I got my mic on, ready for prime time. I'm a sweaty boy, guys. It's just how it is. All right. So let's go ahead and give a shot of the Iowa Bourbon. Let's give that a shot. This is just their standard bourbon product. It's aged a minimum of 3 years. I got the mash bill here. And this is also, by the way, I got the same mash bill I'm going to start and end with, the first and last pours. But this one's special. I'll talk about it a little bit more later. But the regular bourbon mash bill that I was making is 74% corn, 14% malted rye, and 12% two-row malted barley. Now, I had never really heard about two-row malted barley before. I knew there was people talk about malted barley all the time, but what did that two-row mean? So I looked it up. So essentially, the 2 rows is compared against the 6-row barley. And those are the numbers of rows of seeds in the flowering plant. Now, why does it matter? A 2-row malted barley is going to be a fuller, maltier flavor. Brewers tend to prefer 2 malt because it's broader and richer. So I expect to get a little bit more raw, bready flavors like that. Maybe a toast flavor even out of the 2-row malted barley. Now, it's a relatively small percentage. It's almost all corn, 74%. But I expect that to have an effect on the flavor for sure. One other thing I'll mention is I don't know what the proof of this is. On the website, it says 80 proof. Here's the thing. The photo of the bottle on the website says 83 proof. I don't know what the proof is. This is what I know. That's all I need to know, really. If it's good, it's good. Who cares what the proof is? Oh boy. I'll tell you what, right on the first smell, I can really tell that it's craft whiskey. Now, that is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a good thing either, but craft whiskey has a particular nose, and it's hard for me to explain what it is. It comes a lot with young whiskey, but it also is almost exclusively a craft whiskey phenomenon. I've had young whiskeys, 2, 3 year whiskeys from bigger distillers, and they don't have this on the nose. It's this sharpness, it's this metallic tinge. From what I can gather, that's actually an effect of how you cut when you're doing your distilling. And a lot of people might not know what that means. I'll get into the weeds a little bit here. When you're doing a distilling process, as the temperature changes, you're going to get different types of alcohol and different flavors out of the alcohol, other chemicals that are along with the straight ethanol that give you your flavor components in a white dog, which is the unfermented whiskey base. If you cut too soon, then you're going to get in some of the lower level. Yeah, it could be from using newer stills, Matt. That's a good point, but I think it's about their cuts. If you cut at the lower level, you're actually going to get some of the methanol in, which is poisonous. So you almost never see that problem. But it can present just a little bit too low, and you'll get some really unpleasant vegetal flavors out of that. Conversely, if you cut into the tails, which is the high temperature ends, you're going to get a lot of that sharp, metallic, astringent. For me, it's a metallic flavor, but there's a lot of other ways you can describe it. But that tends to mean they're doing some broad cuts. A great example of a distillery that's young, that's here in Indiana, that's doing very narrow cuts is Old 55. The Old 55 distillery sort of prides themselves on an incredibly narrow cut. They do very very aggressively try to avoid the tails, and they do a good job. Now, I think the criticism they'll get, and I will do a review of Old 55 in the future, but the criticism they will get for that kind of a cut is you're going to lose some of the complexity of flavor. When you narrow the bandwidth of how, it's just like music. If you think about the different levels of alcohol as the different bandwidths in your wave range, if you cut out all the treble and you cut out all the bass, you can hear the song, but it's missing something. I think that is a potential criticism that could be levied against Old 55. I don't know that I will be the one to levy it because I've had a lot of their products. I really like it. Like I said, that's a review for the future. But I'm definitely getting a... oh, by the way, cheers. These glasses are for sale. I'm selling them a pair, 35, shipped anywhere in the continental United States. If you want to do local pickup here in Indianapolis, reach out to me. The Drink Pro on every social media, thedrinkpro@gmail.com for an email. We can figure out how you want to do it if you want to get a local purchase. But if you can get it shipped anywhere, $35 for 2 glasses. I have not shipped any yet, Trevor. I've got 2 different batches of glasses. I'm actually doing glassware for a local group. Some of you are in. I know Trevor's a member of it. A different whiskey group on Facebook. I'm making their glassware as well. I wanted to ship them together. So I haven't done any of the shipping yet, but I do have glasses ready to ship. It's just a matter of getting the second batch, and I expect that to happen this week. And I'll be making an update about that here in the near future. But let me get some flavor notes on this. I mean, it does smell wonderful. You definitely get that sharp grain. 14% is not particularly high rye of a mash bill, but I can get the rye grain in this. Definitely a sharp vanilla, almost like a vanilla extract. And I actually get a hint of maple syrup. Whether this is 80 or 83 proof, it doesn't really matter. It is amazingly strong on the nose. And that could be seen as a knock against it. You could say, like, that's, too sharp, too much ethanol. But when you're used to drinking high proof whiskeys, I don't mind it at all. I think if I was used to 80 proofs and I was drinking those all the time, and I took a whiff of this, I'd kind of be blown away by how sharp it was. But it's pretty standard fare for me. But I'm used to drinking 55%. So if the flavors match the what I'm getting on the nose, then we could have a really interesting pour that is incredibly complex, especially for the proof point. My nose is itchy. Old wives' tale that says when your nose is itchy, it means you have company. I hope I don't have company. I'm in the middle of a live stream, for crying out loud. It's been a crazy day, guys. I got 3 hours of sleep last night. Not enough. Not enough. I might get a little loopy. I don't even have that many whiskeys to try. I might still get a little loopy. Whew. You know, you watch me pour it right out of the bottle into the glass. That's not really best practices. Best practices are you pour it, you let it sit for a while, and then you come back to it. So that's giving me some great notes. But while we're talking, I'm going to go ahead and pour the rye, which is their malted rye, which is kind of fun. They let the rye grains germinate, and then they blast them with hot air. So that's a fun process. I think that malted rye is sitting at 86 proof. So there you go with that. And then finally, I'll tell you a little bit about... Yeah, man, the Booker's collection. I'm glad you brought that up, Josh. Matter of fact, I tell you, I've got a lot of fun upcoming streams in the near future. And a Booker stream is one of them. I've got all of these Bookers that you see up here, which is No Secret, Backyard Barbecue, Teresa's batch, Shiny Barrel batch, Shiny Barrel batch, Country Ham, Beaten Biscuits, and then Granny's batch, which I've got a sample of. I've got all of those, plus I've got Tommy's batch, Kitchen Table, and the Booker's 25th Anniversary Edition. All of those are going to be in a live stream in the near future. It is going to be a shit show. I am going to be excited, and it's going to be a little dangerous. I hope you all will join when we have that happen. Now, back to the moment at hand. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Here we go. Nice little emasculating moment. I can't open the goddamn bottle on... There we go. There it went. Nothing worse than live streaming, yourself just trying to open a bottle and just failing. Yeah. I'm going to be hammered, Trevor. You're totally right. It's going to be a shit show. Now, this bad boy here, this is a fun one. Again, thank you, Kyle Thigh, for providing these. And happy Father's Day, sir. I know you are a father. This is your day, so cheers, celebrate it. What's up, Zach? Yeah, it's going to be a shit show, guys. You're all right. I appreciate the cheers, Matt. The Hercules. It'll be a Herculean effort if I can get through whatever. How did I manage this list? I got 6 up there. I got 4 down here. That's 10 batches of Bookers. And if you've got more, send them to me. If you've got a batch of Bookers that I didn't just list or that you don't see behind me, let me know. Hit me up. I'll make it a part of the stream, and we'll just keep these numbers going up, and maybe some very tiny pours in this one. But I'm gonna do it, man. It's gonna happen. I want to see what goes down. It's going to be longer than 1 hour, though. I'm not going to allow myself to drink 10 barrel-proof whiskeys in an hour. I will die. Anyway, this bad boy. I love this little sticker, by the way. I haven't seen a lot of those on little sample bottles. This is actually from the store pick, which is what this is. This is an Iowa bourbon. I know they do their standard issue reserve bourbon, which is older. It's 5 years, I believe, normally 92 proof. But this one, Hy-Vee, which is a grocery store chain in Iowa, for those who don't know, the fourth in court store, actually. So you know which specific store. That's my impression of that, at least. The 2020 pick. This is a single barrel pick, but it's at 115 proof. So it's barrel proof, probably, which it's significantly higher than their standard reserve pick. I don't know how much, what kind of age is on this. I don't know if it's older than the standard reserve at 5 years or if it's about the same. I don't have any more information, but I'm excited to try it. So let me get you back into the nose on this. Ooh, and it's mellowed out a lot in all the right ways. So like I said before, I get that rye grain. I get a little bit of cereal, that malty cereal. You know what? That malted rye and the malted barley together, it really adds something. You can smell that sweetness. That sweet malt really shows up. Oh, and then I'm definitely getting a chocolate as well, but not like a sweet chocolate, like a bitter chocolate. Getting black pepper, clove, maybe even a hint of tobacco and spearmint. This is a really wonderfully herbal pour, but it's not thin and narrowly herbal. It's got this really round, rich sweetness of like vanilla and maple syrup and maybe some honey as well, all behind it. A little bit of citrus. Hint of like a lemon citrus, maybe. I guess that could be green apples. I think it's lemon though. Gonna sneeze again. I'm getting too far down in it. Oh, you can't breathe whiskey, guys. I keep trying to do it and it keeps failing. Don't breathe whiskey. I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna put this on my head. This is a good look, right? This is what you tune in for. This is to see me be an old. The tag is showing up, an old Shaw. Okay. This is a good start to the live stream. I haven't even had a drink yet. I haven't had one sip. Okay. Let's finally go ahead and give this a taste. Oh, yeah. Very sweet. Very malty. Whoa. That is so incredibly grain forward and round. It's not what I expected at all. It's very good. Yeah, Yolanda's watching. Hey, baby. I'm obviously losing my mind already, so you know. Like I said before, I'm sweating like a preacher in church over here. I need some better AC or a congregation. One or the other. I can't be this way. Okay. Oh, guys, what am I doing? Buy a glass from me. Why not? Fuck it. Okay. My girlfriend just astutely pointed out that this room has a fan. I'm going to go turn it on. But I'm not going to leave you behind. You'll be able to hear me while I reach for the remote. All right. Let's see how that does. Maybe that'll help. It never changed. I can if I wanted to, Zach. This is just who I am. Second taste. There's a lot more sharpness in that second taste. Very sharp. Bitter, sharp, like cocoa powder. Oh, there's a root in there. It's very earthy on that second taste. So that first taste, I was getting the rounded sweetness, but I was also getting tons of grain. And now that grain is kind of taken a little bit of a backseat. The sweetness and the grainy sharpness are backseated. And then you get this rich, earthy, rooty flavor. It's not like a peat smoke. It's not smoky earth. It's how do I describe it? It's like it's very leathery is a common explanation for that earthy tone, but this one is a little less sharp than leather. If you've ever smoked cigars, it's got a very cigar note. Yeah, I think Yolanda said potato mushroom. I think there's definitely a mushroom kind of quality to it. but a little bit less. I always think of mushrooms as having a sort of well, it depends on the type of mushroom. I shouldn't make broad statements about mushrooms because they're pretty diverse, but it's a very mild, very earthy mushroom. All right, taste number 3. I'll post a link on my Facebook in the near future about um, why I do 3 tastes. I'm not going to write anything. Somebody's already written extensively on the subject. One of the preeminent whiskey tasters in this world, this internet. Put it on the YouTube and hope people watch it. Did I say put it on the YouTube? How old am I? Jesus Christ. Okay. This is just, I'm losing my fucking mind, you guys. I did a log of all of my whiskey samples today. I've got a backlog of about 110. So I'm going to have to drink faster. So if you have sent me samples and I haven't reviewed them, my apologies. I can only do so much. But I appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate your support. And I will absolutely review it. I promise you. Some of them are going to be grouped together. That's going to just be a function of what ends up happening. You know, like I've said several Booker's batches that are going to be grouped together. Yeah, I spent too much time with my dad today. He's got me all loopy. I didn't mention this. I know you can see these E.H. Taylors. I like doing this with my finger. It's fun. So I've got these E.H. Taylors back here. What I've got is the straight rye, the single barrel, and a regular small batch. I've also got samples of the 2019 barrel strength, the Amaranth Grain of the Gods, and the cured oak. I want to do them all. I want to do a lineup of all of those fancy special, E.H. Taylor barrels. You know, maybe get a bottle of 18-year marriage if I can get stupid lucky. But I'd love to get the Tornado one in here. I'd love to get the 4 grain. I know there's others. I just didn't write them all down. But I think that would be an awesome tasting. So if you are a very generous person, like the people who donated the Grain of the Gods, and the cured oak they're quite generous people. If you are generous similarly, please hit me up. I'd love to make it happen. I'd love to shout you out. Seasoned Wood, thank you, Trevor. That's another one. But yeah, I'd love to make that a video. Both of those that I've mentioned, by the way, are not the most upcoming ones. Well, the Booker's is. Next week, I'm going to do Knob Creek Ryes. I've got 8 different Knob Creek Ryes that I'll be reviewing next week during the live stream. That will also be a 2-hour live stream because I can't do 8 barrel strength whiskeys in an hour. I will die. So that'll be a lot of fun. We're definitely going to, look into that. I've got the Miles, the Heritage, Boomtown 5, Belmont Rural Inn, Crown Liquors, and then 2 more that I can't remember the names of. I know that was really fast, but if anybody has a Knob Creek that they can get me before next Sunday that you would like me to include in that review, I would love to do it. I'd love to give it a shot. I'd love to do it blind, maybe even. I don't know. I don't know enough about them. I probably won't do it blind if I'm being quite honest. The blind tastings really benefit you when you when you have expectations and you want to challenge them. I don't have expectations about any of these freaking pours, so I don't know these different picks that well. I'm not that ingrained into the world of the Knob Creek picks. But yeah, this is actually a really good bourbon. I don't know what the price point on this is, but this is really solid, especially for 3 years, especially for as low proof as it is. If you like a grain-forward, earthy whiskey, this is really going to just hit all the right notes for you. That's good stuff. So let me transition a little bit into the rye. This is kind of a fun rye because it actually incorporates 2 different kinds of rye. It has a malted rye and then there's the regular rye. 51% malted rye, which I talked about a little bit before. The malting process, they soak it in water to germinate, then they blow it with hot air to stop that process. It gives you the malty flavors. 51% malted rye, 34% regular rye, 12% corn, and 3% malted barley. Why 3% malted barley? I have no freaking idea. I don't know what they were thinking. They're like, I should put some barley in it. Maybe there was a real science to it. Maybe they tried like 1% and 2% and 3% and 4% and 5%. And they were like, no, 3. I don't know. That seems ridiculous to me. But so does putting 3% of anything in anything. I assume they have the reasons. Let's give it a nosing, shall we? God, guys. That is I love the nose on this. I'm not a big rye drinker, or so I thought. In the last maybe 2 weeks, I've had several ryes that were phenomenal. And what I've learned is that there is a particular type of rye profile that has become incredibly common. It's become sort of the... Thanks, Nate. 3% in a 401k makes sense, Kyle. Yeah. Shut up. He retracted the message. I love it. I love you guys. This is so I've learned that I've really, really loved some of these ryes. There's some wonderful, wonderful ryes out there that go off the beaten path. If you just go pick a random rye off the shelf, chances are it's going to fit a very specific, narrow idea of what a rye can be, because it's become so popular. There's just a plethora of other ways to make rye flavors out there, and you definitely should explore them. And I'm going to help you. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos about ryes. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos about ryes, and you know, it's because I'm passionate about them now. I've always thought it was just kind of a, you know, also ran kind of whiskey, and I'm realizing it's not. I'm also realizing I didn't take this off of this. This is for my phone. So when I have meetings in here for work that isn't whiskey work, they can't see the giant fucking, you know, shrine to drinking that is behind me. They don't really like that at my office. I'm just leaving my phone there. That's fine. I'm sure I won't forget about it. This is so sweet. It's all honey. Oh my God. This is like pouring honey onto rye bread with butter. Oh. Maybe a hint of corn syrup. Maybe like you mixed like 3 parts honey to 1 part corn syrup and poured that on your buttered rye bread. Nate's exactly right. The Wild Turkey Master's Keep. First off, the Wild Turkey Master's Keep collection, if you haven't had it, absolutely worth trying it. And I don't really care what batch you try. Pick any batch. It is a good thing to try because they make incredible products. Nate and I ran the gauntlet on those. That video is going to be a little while before I post it, to be honest with you. I've got a lot of stuff in the works here. But I'll tease it a little bit and say there are some amazing things in the Wild Turkey Master's Keep collection. I mean, this isn't a complex one. This is not complex. It is honey on rye toast with butter. If I really dig into it, I can get a little bit of spearmint, maybe a little bit of apricot, and maybe a hint of lemon. But all of those notes are very, very, very background. It is just very predominantly honeyed rye grain. All right, let's give it a taste. Well, ooh. Yeah, Matt, I don't think it's grilled apricot. Good shout out to last week's stream. Grilled apricot's a bullshit note. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's something I'll have to do. I've definitely been thinking about, in the future, making my own tasting kit and making that either a video or a live stream and showing you guys how to not pay way too freaking much money, which is how much every tasting kit company charges. for a tasting kit, or a nosing kit, I should say. Smell is such a high percentage of taste that nosing kits will lead you to tasting different flavors. It'll show you where you're going. And a lot of times you can buy these nosing kits that have like vanilla and, cinnamon and clove and, all these different standard pulls in terms of scents from bourbon. They're way too expensive. All of those ingredients are pretty cheap. So I'll put one of those together at some point. Yeah, exactly. Nate's totally right. Anything worth a damn is $300. That is way, way too much money. You can buy a bunch of bottles like this for what, $20, maybe $30 if you get a bunch of them, and then just fill them with stuff. I've probably got 10 to 15 of the classic flavor notes from bourbon in my kitchen right now. And the other 10 to 15 are not, I'm not finding notes of fucking caviar in this. I'm not finding like, yes, this reminds me of a 100-year-old cognac. No. It's just not going to happen. And you know what? You drink a 100-year-old cognac, you know what you're not going to say? This tastes like 100-year-old cognac. No, you're going to type basic flavor components. And there'll be a bunch of them. It'll be very interesting and nuanced and complex and delicious. But it's not going to be anything other than your fundamental building blocks of flavor. I will put some geraniums in it, Nate, for sure. Oh, and after tasting it, you go back to the nose. It's way more floral and herbal together. It may be a bit of a geranium note, Nate. You might have called it. Call your shot. All right. I think Dave is onto something right there. The Drink Pro nosing kit might be another revenue stream. I can undercut the competition for sure. Now, this is another one that's a slow sipper. So that first sip was a pretty astringent for me. But that second sip was a little bit better. Let's try number 3 here. Rye grain's prominent. Ooh, it finishes with a little bit of woodiness. The oak kind of comes out. It's like a toasted oak. You get this toasted oak flavor at the finish there. Oh, that's good. That's really hitting some great notes, guys. It's just, What's everybody drinking tonight? Tell me what you're drinking. Put it in the chat. I want to know what people are drinking. So there's a great long finish on this rye. This rye just finishes forever. It's still with me. It's this wonderful light white pepper with this delicious, rich, toasted oakiness. And it's not sharp and astringent. And it's not too big and bassy and just overtaking. It's a perfect middle of the road oaky, toasted oakiness. Maybe even a bit of a nuttiness in there. Maybe even like a walnut. Nate's got that honeysuckle. I need to do those Maker's Mark private selects. I've seen that they are going absolutely batshit crazy on the secondary market right now. The Ohio picks, if you haven't heard, Ohio did a series of store picks of Maker's Mark private select, and the series of them together is going for hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands for the whole series. I don't know at this point, but just crazy money on the secondary market. I've got samples. Shout out Nate for providing several of them. I'm going to do that video at some point, but I don't know. I got so many videos I want to do. So little time. Yeah, ETL is a solid pick. That's a solid thing to drink. It's a little overpriced now, but drink it for what it is. Recognize what it is, what it's trying to do, and enjoy it. Old Ezra 7. Good pick. When I first opened my first Old Ezra 7, I hated it. And I let it sit there open for about 2 months with like one pour out of it. And I went back to it and I went, you know what? I didn't give this a fair shake. I tried it again. I kept trying it. I kept enjoying it. I finished the bottle and I bought 2 more. It's sometimes whiskeys are just like that. And I've been guilty of this mistake before. Sometimes people will make recommendations based on a neck pour that they didn't let breathe, and it's just not a proper expression of what's in this bottle. If I was going to give you like an ideal situation to try a whiskey and like where it's in its prime, it's probably somewhere between a quarter and a half of the bottle gone, and it's been open between 2 and 4 months. I think like you've got a little bit of air on it, you've got a little bit of time open, but not so much that it's losing tons of proof. That to me is like the butter zone of the essential flavors, the rounded largeness of whatever's in that bottle will be in full force in that circumstance. The rye grain is pretty sharp on the front. See, God, I love the finish on this. The initial sharpness on it is kind of rough for me, to be honest. It's a lot of rye grain. It's causing me some pause, but then mid palate gets really sweet with this honey, and the finish is just so long and oaky and white pepper, and fantastic. So kind of sneaks up on you. I think it gets better as it goes. New Riff store pick now, the Garrison Brothers single barrel. All right, let me know how that Garrison Brothers is, Trevor. Oh, totally, Dave. It totally changes. That old Ezra it changes in the best way possible for me. I love where it went. I'm sure there are people that thought it got weak or soft or whatever, but boy, I thought it opened up beautifully. Cheers. That's a solid rye. It wouldn't be my go-to. I don't know what the price point is again, which makes a big difference. But sometimes you just got to go with the flow. Anyway, recommendations. I definitely recommend based on price point, not straight, up, down, thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm not going to recommend mellow corn, when you put it up against a Elmer T. Lee or a Blanton's even, or forget about a William LaRue Weller or a Pappy or something. This is just not going to, different league. It's not the same thing. They're not trying to be. Whiskey is not always trying to do one thing. A lot of different whiskeys out there, a lot of different tastes out there. You got to respect what it's trying to do. And it might not be for you. Nate loves my sweat towel. I'm sweating a lot, Nate. I'm putting my heart and soul into this for you guys. It's hot in here. Oh, the fan has helped tremendously. Shout out to my girlfriend for reminding me that there's a fan in this room. This is gonna be special, guys. We're now on number 3. Get that. I can't get that shine off. There you go. Yeah. I'm excited about this. I really liked where that bourbon was at 80 or 83. It's going to be that jacked up a bit with some more age on it. I am excited to find out what it tastes like. I realize that my dynamics are freaking terrible for recording. So you're probably going to hear me get really quiet and then get really loud. And I apologize now for your shattered eardrums if you turn me up when I got really quiet and then I go boom and just cause you havoc. I never really think about that stuff. This is just who I am. I'm just being honest and natural out here. This is not designed for radio or TV. This is just designed because it gives me jollies. Oh man, the nose on this is crazy. Let me compare this before I give you too much to the original. Okay, there's so much more grain and corn on this. It's light, it's grain, it's corn. It's sweet, but it's still got that light grain, malt, corn. This is a caramel bomb. Oh, so good. Yeah, this is a caramel bomb. I get a lot of vanilla. I get tons of caramel. some honey, just all of the sweet aromatics. This is just a sweet aromatic explosion. Let me see if I can find some other stuff in here because, I could just talk for days about how much I love the sweet aromatics in this. I guess there's a really subtle sweet chocolate, but it's very, very, very subtle. Maybe a touch of cinnamon, just a little bit of herbal cinnamon, but it's a sweet cinnamon. It's not like Red Hot sweet. It's like a Cinnamon Toast Crunch imagine Cinnamon Toast Crunch without the grains, just the cinnamon sugar. That's what it is. I get a little bit of peach, little green apple, little peach. And some black raspberries. Couldn't decide if they were blackberries or black raspberries. I'm gonna go black raspberries. This is just a stellar nose. Oh, I would wear this as cologne. Matter of fact, just get a little dab right there. There you go. I really did that, by the way. Yolana's gonna love me. I'm gonna smell like fucking whiskey going to bed. Huh. All right, now. Try to reserve judgment. I usually like to give you guys flavor notes for each taste, but really, you don't get a proper taste until 3. So let's reset. Let's try it again. Wow. Honey, spearmint. Very sweet. Ooh, bitter chocolate. Mid-palate bitter chocolate. Really prominent. Like dark cacao chocolate bar. There maybe? Some sort of baking spice. I think it might be clove. No. It's not clove. It's not clove. Maybe nutmeg. This is why I need to make a nosing kit. Oh, but when you go back to the nose after that, the caramel bomb really shows up. Oh, man. I was thinking about this. If I try to monetize this channel at some point in the future, I don't know if I'll be able to stop swearing. I don't really want to bleep it. I'll have to look into that. Sweet, herbal. Oh, a little tobacco, a little sweet tobacco in there. Oh, that mid-palate's crazy. It is so much dark chocolate. Woody. It's like burnt oak, dark chocolate, not smoky, charred oak, dark chocolate. Oh, maybe like a malty cocoa cereal kind of vibe. I don't know, Nate. I don't understand all the rules and regulations. I didn't write them, but I've never seen a monetized YouTuber swear and not bleep it. So may have to think about that. Is it chocolate like that Woodford chocolate malted rye? Yeah, that's what I thought, Dave. I thought they demonetized too much swearing. I'll have to figure out what too much swearing actually means. Probably what I do, though. Yeah, I may have to work on that. But I got time. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I have to get to 1,000 subscribers to be able to monetize. So get your friends to subscribe so I can do that. So I can learn to stop swearing and really, I don't care that much about the ad revenue, but I'd love to be able to do some of the chat features that they've got. You get a lot more robust chat structure. and a lot more features to make your channel more aesthetically pleasing. And for me, do I want to make money doing this as a living? Yeah, that'd be wonderful. That'd be awesome. But this is a passion project. I'm here because I love this stuff. I want to engage with you guys. I want to be a part of this community and keep it going as long as I can. And it's so much easier to do that when everything just works better and looks better and feels better. Anyway, to answer your question, Nate, the chocolate is definitely like that chocolate malted rye. It's not as sweet chocolate as that rye was. It's a lot more like a dark chocolate, heavy cacao, like 55-60% cacao. I know that's getting really into the weeds on specifics, but it's not like 85% cacao, which is like bitterness and nothing else. There's some sweetness, but it's not very much. Oh, so good. That's so crazy to me. Mid palate and the finishes gives you that. Let me see. Okay, let me see what lingers after that chocolate. Because the chocolate comes and goes like a wave. It gets like honey, chocolate, and then it just dissipates really quickly. So after the chocolate wave, there's not really anything on the finish. Huh. This is such an interesting pick. Shout out to Hy-Vee 4th and Court. Great pick. Wonderful sweet honey cereal note. Definitely that chocolate maltiness. A little bit of pepper dance on the tongue. I guess there's a little bit of heat that lingers. There's a little warmth, maybe a hint of pepper that lingers, but it's really good. That's definitely the winner for the night. I'm really impressed with this. Like they're not particularly old, they're not particularly well known or distributed, but they're doing things right. I'm going to go back to the 80 or 83 proof original bourbon. This is a 3-year product compared to whatever that was. See, it's much lighter, much more grain forward, but it's got that wonderful honey malty sweetness. I really like what they're doing with their malts here. I've seen a couple of those pours. Let me check my notes real quick. Yeah, they're being aggressive about the malted rye. That malted rye is really doing some cool stuff with their pours. It presented as that chocolate in this store pick that was at barrel strength, but in the standard issue, both the rye and the bourbon, you get some cool notes on the finish. You get some interesting balance out for that light, sweet, corn forward element. Yeah. Yeah, I really dig that. And I gotta like, I know I'm really talking these guys up, but like, I don't have a vested interest in this at all. I'm just really freaking impressed because I've had a lot of craft distilleries. I haven't reviewed a lot of them, but I've had a lot of them. And, I taste a lot of things before I started this channel. And there's a reason I haven't picked up any of their bottles and done reviews on them. I won't name anybody, but let your palate tell you. Go to the distillery, try stuff they've got on the shelf. Because if they can't give you a good show right there, then they don't have it. That is their chance to shine. And you can learn some cool stuff. You can find out some cool stuff. Maybe have a cocktail, but oh, Nate, where would I rank them with New Riff, Wilderness Trail, Chattanooga? I like them better than Wilderness Trail. I don't think they're as good as New Riff. Only because I think the New Riff has a lot more variety. I really like what these guys are doing, but it's kind of one trick pony from what I've tasted. Now, I know they've got a single malt out there. Matter of fact, my buddy Sean, shout out Sean Crane, he mentioned, he's like, hey, you got that single malt? I do not, but I want to try more from them now because all 3 of these pours had that malted rye. It's really cool, but I want to see what happens if you throw something else together. I want to see what these guys are capable of when they move outside that comfort zone. I haven't had anything from Chattanooga yet, Nate, so I need to get myself some of that and put them up against this. I'd also like to put them up against one of my favorite local distilleries, West Fork. I really enjoy what they're making here in Indianapolis. I will definitely review them sometime. I don't think I've done it yet. That's a real shame. I need to remedy that. No, I'm not going to do that. That's just crazy. That's so. It's three different. Oh, it's three different whiskeys in one. It just, that chocolate comes out of nowhere. It just totally left field. All right, let's try the rye again. I've talked so much about these bourbons. See, the rye is good if you like that traditional rye profile that I talked about earlier. That traditional rye at the start, it's not bad, but it's just not my jam. But I really like where it goes to the finish. Oh, and now on the finish of that rye, I'm getting some really interesting citrus notes. That's pretty cool. Some lemon. I dig it. All right. Did I talk about everything I wanted to talk about? I don't know. I don't remember what I wanted to talk about. I told you about next week, Knob Creek Bourbon. I need to clarify that. Next week, I'm doing Knob Creek Bourbon store pick side by side. If you've got a Knob Creek store pick you want me to try, and you can get it here by Sunday, reach out to me. You know where to find me. I'm all over the place. I try to be, at least. thedrinkpro@gmail.com if you can't find me anywhere else. I'd love to incorporate it. I've got 2 more coming from various different places. I'd love to do that. Love to make it happen. Talked about the weekend after that. I don't know if I put a date on it. So that's next weekend. That is next Sunday. The Sunday after that, this is July 5th. The Big Boy Booker's celebration of America's freedom. I'm going to drink 10 different Booker's batches. I'll go through them again. I've got No Secret, Backyard. I'm going to see if I can do it by memory. Okay, here we go. No Secret, Backyard Barbecue, Teresa's batch, Shiny Barrel batch, Country Ham, Beaten Biscuits, Granny's batch, Tommy's batch, Kitchen Table. And the 25th anniversary. That was the one I forgot. I'll probably just have a nip of that because I want to do a whole separate review on that. And I only got an ounce. That's special. That's special. Anyway. Yeah, and I'm going to die. I won't forget my phone. Thank you so much, Matt. Looks like Nate's going to hook me up with this Chattanooga. I would love that. Thank you much, Nate, as always, for supporting the channel, being a cool dude. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers that are watching this. I know there's a couple of you out there. Nate's a father. Trev's a father. I don't know who else is a father out there, but I know you two are fathers. Any secret fathers in the chat that I haven't seen talk yet? They're just lurking. Happy Father's Day to you two. I talked about the H. Taylors. I'll do it once more. I've got the rye, the single barrel, the small batch, the barrel strength of the 2019 Amaranth Grain of the Gods, and I can't ever remember it, the Cured Oak. Any of the others that you would like me to taste in my E.H. Taylor lineup, hit me up, reach out. I'd love to have a sample. It'd be a great time. Cheers, Trevor. One other thing. 2 other things. First one. I want to do every single Stag Junior at once. I want a live stream where I am tasting every Stag Junior that's ever been released. Here's what I've got so far. The 2, the 4, the 5, the 9, the 11, the 12, the 13. Did it again? 2, 4, 5, 9, 11, 12, 13. Here's what I don't have. I don't have the 1, the 3, the 6, the 7, the 8, the 10. That's 6. 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, 10. If you guys have any of those Stag Juniors that you're willing to hook me up with, reach out to me. I'd love to give those a try. I'd love to incorporate them into this lineup. It's going to be epic. It's going to be a mess in the best way possible. I will try to stay as sober as I can. Probably going to have to stick with some 1/4 ounce or 1/2 ounce at most pours for that particular night as well. But like I really do believe that there's a way to do this without getting hammered. I don't want to be on, internet, on TV, on anything, encouraging people to get drunk all the time. I have a real problem with that. This is a controlled environment. I don't just get hammered for no reason. I'm trying to be as structured as possible. My mind just isn't that structured generally. You saw how I came into this room totally sober. That's just, I'm all over the place. So they will be shit shows, but they'll be shit shows because I'm already a shit show. Anyway, what else? One more thing before I let you all go. I've got some other cool things coming up in the near future. People often ask me, like, what can I do? What do you want? What are you trying to get a sample of? What do you need? Tonight, I have given you all kinds of examples of what I need. Let me give you two more. I'm wanting to do a lineup of all of the Michter's products. The Michter's Toasted, the Michter's Barrel Strengths, the Michter's 10 years, the Michter's 20 or 25. Boy, if I can get them, that would be great. That's a big ask, though. I understand it's a big ask. But I'd love to do the rest. You know what I didn't name? I didn't name a single one of the Michter's. They're just standard issue Michter's. If you have standard issue Michter's, the standard American, the standard bourbon, standard rye, that would be part of this lineup that I do not have. That would be super duper helpful. Those are easy ways you can help. A lot of these are crazy. I get it. I mean, people don't have Michter's 25s just sitting around that they're going to give me an ounce of. I get it. No one's going to do that. Somebody may have a Stag Junior 10, but not very many are going to have a Stag Junior 1. But regular ass Michter's, some of you have that on your shelf right now. Oh, Nate, if you can get that 20, you're going to be on the wall of fame, my friend. I'm going to put your picture right over here. If you give me that 20, I'm going to put your smiling face right there on the wall for everyone to see. Maybe I'll frame it. Maybe. Thanks, Dave. I'd like to think that's what my experience with alcohol, I believe, is an enhancement of my regular personality. I'm pretty much the same guy. You put me in front of the camera, I'm going to be this guy. Sober, drunk, it doesn't matter. The other thing, the last thing, I promised there was only two things, but one I had written down as, part A and part B that really weren't together. Last thing, Four Roses. I've got so many. You don't have to have any part of my wall, Nate. That's fine. That's fine. I've got so many Four Roses things I want to do. People love Four Roses. I got a lot of positive responses to my live stream with the Four Roses where I did them blind. And guess what? I've got more. I'm going to do a part 2 redux of the limited edition Four Roses. Right now, I've got the 19, the 130th, a 17, the Elliott's single barrel 16, a 15, a 14, and a 13. One of those is the 125th. I've got a lot of limited edition Four Roses that I want to line them up, taste them all, see what I think. Maybe even do it blind. Maybe. But the other thing I want to do with Four Roses that's a lot more, outside the realm of those, incredible but very rare bottles is I want to try every single mash bill. I've tried them in, different stages. I've had little bits here, little bits there, 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 there. I want to sit down and try all 10 of the Four Roses line. All 5 of their yeast strains paired with each of their 2 mash bills in one shot. And really, ideally, it'd all be from the same floor. I could get super specific and say I want it from the same floor, I want it from the same rick house, I want everything the same except the mash bill. I recognize that's unrealistic, but I have to say that I have seen such a big variation based on the floor. The tiers 5s and 6s sell for a lot more in the secondary market, but they are so much woodier. I bought an OESO off the shelf, and I opened it up. I would have gotten rid of it. I would have traded it for something else. I could have probably traded it with a little bit of cash on top for a George C. Stagg. And I probably would have done that if I knew what it tasted like. It's got me a little gun shy about opening some of these rare bottles, frankly. The OESO on floor 1 is all red berries. The OESO on floor 6, not the case. It's still a good whiskey, but it is just not what I'm looking for. I like the berry profile. That's why I sought out the OESO. I wanted it. I didn't get it. That's okay. But I'm just pointing out that, man, the floor makes a humongous difference. Thanks, Trevor. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not as plugged into the whiskey world on YouTube as I need to be, as I should be, and as I want to be. But I think I haven't seen a lot of these things either, and that's kind of what I want to do them. I don't know what it looks like to do all these next to each other, and I think people aren't doing them because they're a little bit gun shy about putting somebody doing 8 pours at once on a YouTube video. But like I said, I really, truly believe there's a way to do that in a responsible manner. And as much as I like to joke about it being a shit show, there's a way to do it that's not a shit show. That's just a guy having fun, trying all this stuff, exploring a wonderful world of whiskey tasting. And you know, I want to be that guy. I want to be your man. So help me out, guys. One other thing I'll mention, just because it came to the top of my head, 2018 Thomas H. Handy. If you've got a pour of the 2018 Thomas H. Handy, reach out to me and we'll chat, because I need to get myself a pour of it. I'm willing to buy it off of you for a reasonable price, but I want to taste that for reasons I will explain in a private message. I think that's everything I've got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit me up if you want glassware. Hit me up if you want to chat. Hit me up if you've got samples for me. Hit me up if you want to be a part of the Patreon and become one of the members of our Society of Drinking Professionals. Patreon.com/thedrinkpro. It's getting totally revamped July 1. I'm changing all of the different categories. Cheers, my bourbon journey. Thank you so much for joining. You joined right at the end. I usually only do an hour. I'm going to probably start doing longer videos. This one's shortened down a little bit because, you know, I've only got 3 samples for the night, but I also recognize it's Father's Day. I don't want to be on here for hours and hours. For me, it's a family day, but I wanted you all to celebrate with your whiskey family. So thanks everybody for coming. I'm gonna get out of here. Let's share some samples. Let's drink together and keep drinking like professionals. Cheers. Now I got to close this thing somehow.